Hi guys, it's me, Trudy Lee. How y'all doing? I'm doing all right. I have a little bit of sad news to tell you guys. Some of you are on my Facebook page, and you already know the information I'm about to talk about. My brother-in-law, he passed away. He had come home the day before Thanksgiving on Wednesday, and he came home with oxygen. He said that he could only take he could only walk like 10 or 15 feet without becoming completely breathless. So he was really, really having a hard time. He was having really bad side effects, and um, I don't know why they let him come home from the hospital, but they did. And yesterday, um, I think it was yesterday evening, he told my sister, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And she took his vital signs, and she said they seemed fine. They were all good, you know. And he said, "But I can't breathe. I just can't breathe." And she called him an ambulance, and the ambulance came, and they were. What I'm getting is they were putting him into the ambulance. I guess he was on the gurney, and my sister looked at him, and she knew he had died. So he passed away in the driveway. She said, "This man." Oh, he was such a nice man. He was so kind, such a beautiful spirit. He has been through so much. And my sister, she's been through so much too. I'm sorry. Hope I can get through this. This is my sister's actually, it's her third husband that's passed away, but her first husband, she got a divorce from. She married him very young, and he died this year too. So her children have lost their stepfather and their father this year. And her grandchildren, he was a wonderful grandfather. Um, but she lost her husband to cancer. Her second husband, he had cancer. She worked in Kroger as a manager, long, hard hours. She worked as a manager. You know, if you know anybody that works as a manager at a grocery store, they pay you salary and they work your butt off. And she worked hard, but she took care of her family. She took care of her husband, but he did pass away of cancer, and it was, of course, losing your husband is very painful. A couple of years, maybe not long after he died, a couple of years or so, she reconnected with Chuck. She knew Chuck as in her childhood, and they reconnected, and they had so many things in common. And he was such a nice man. They came here to visit me before they got married, and he had diabetes. He had diabetes really bad, evidently, and it did a lot of damage to his kidneys, and it got to be where he was on dialysis, and he couldn't work anymore. They had to come and bring the dialysis machine to him twice a week, and he would get dialysis at the home, and his pancreas wasn't working at all, and he was on a transplant list. And he was lucky enough to receive a kidney. This is probably 2 years ago, maybe a little longer, a kidney and a pancreas. It might have been, it seems like, time goes by so fast. It may have even been 3 years ago. Um, the pancreas it didn't work. He was blessed and lucky enough to get a second transplant pancreas, and it worked. And he was no longer diabetic. And just in this past year, he had been working, making good money. They just bought a house a couple of months ago. It's the first time that my sister, she feels like a daughter. She's 8 years younger than me, so she's a much younger sister. It was the first time that she ever could, kind of relax and feel like I can just be a homemaker and take care of my husband and my family and my home. and she had quit working. She had worked really long and hard. When Chuck was sick, they weren't married right away. They lived together for a while, and she got him on her insurance so that he could get these transplants. Without her insurance and all, I don't know what would have happened to him. She was a blessing for him, and he was a blessing to her because, after going through all that pain and sadness of losing her husband, to find another love, he was so devoted to her. Even when he was very, very sick, he would make dinner for her. He would always have, dinner ready for her when she came home from work. He couldn't work. And he couldn't do a lot. He'd be exhausted just trying to get things done. But he pushed himself, and he would try to do anything he could, to show his love and devotion to her. He really, really was such a kind and good person. He really was. My sister is absolutely heartbroken. She is. She's devastated. I don't even know if he had life insurance. He was working, and he was working out of town. He was going to Georgia, and that's how he got COVID, I guess, working out of town. The place that he was working didn't, I think a few people had COVID there, so I'm not sure where he got it, but he may have gotten it from work. Anyway, it's so sad, you guys. It's just terrible. On his last Facebook page, a post that he made, I went back and I was reading it, and this was just 24 hours ago or so. He posted on his Facebook page. He said, "I've been through a lot, and he was meaning his transplants, all the illness that he's had and been through so much." He said, "I've been through a lot. I'm not saying this for you to feel sorry for me," he said, "but COVID is a horror." He said, "COVID is a horror. It's horrible." And he said, "Do whatever you have to do to protect yourself, to take care of yourself. Do it." So I think that means distance, social distance, wear your mask. It's so sad, you guys. It's just awful. Thank you guys so much for all your prayers. Thank you. I really appreciate them. I was talking to my niece, and my niece was telling me that she's afraid to get the COVID vaccine. And I tried to tell her. She said that there might be a side effect. And I said, well, there could be a side effect. You get the flu vaccine, and there's a side effect. You might feel a little bit sick for one day, but it can save your life. And it's worth that trade to feel sick one day. My husband gets the flu vaccine, and he's almost every time he feels a little sick the next day, has a little fever and all, but he's fine after that. He's fine. And he hasn't gotten the flu, knock on wood, in years. So I asked my guides, can we trust the COVID-19 vaccine? And you know what they said? Unconditionally, yes. Unconditionally, yes. You can trust the COVID-19 vaccine. When it's offered to you, go get it. Go get it. Because we don't want anything to happen to you. I don't want anything to happen to you. Your family doesn't want anything to happen to you. So encourage your loved ones to get it and get it yourself. I'll be making another post soon, you guys. I'm kind of have to take a couple of days and get it together. I am doing some private readings and portal closings, but I will be back soon. Okay, you guys. Thank y'all so much for listening. Love you so much. Take care of each other. Be grateful for what's in your life, because you never know when it's going to be gone.